Heidi ho, good neighbors, and welcome to the back porch. I've been missing you. Here it is, spring 2021, and it is time to get started again with straw bale gardening. I know a lot of you probably already got started, got your bales conditioned. I had a couple of messages from folks earlier this week saying they'd watched my videos from last year and thanked me for doing this and that. So I kind of wanted to do an updated version on just how to start out, for this year, and just throwing a few other tidbits that I've learned along the way. I've done this now. I think this is either my 8th or 9th year of straw bale gardening, and so I just wanted to, come and share with you how to get started here, and so we're going to do that right now. I want to say hello to my buddy here, my partner, Liam. Can you say hi to everybody? Hi. Yeah. That's exactly right. He's almost 4 years old now. He's going to be probably in most of these videos with me this year. So anyway, let's get started. Let's talk about how to get started with your straw bale garden. So I wanted to start with the very basics here. I'm not sure if I've talked about this in the past, but right down to selecting your bales. Now, since I've moved off the farm and into town the last couple of years, as you can see, I'm using brand new bales. I get mine from the local Ace Hardware. Yes, they're a little expensive. They're good bales though, but more often than not, I think people still, like I used to do, we pick up bales that are like a year old or so. They've got some age on them. Either way, they'll break down fine. I use a little bit heavier fertilizer on mine starting out than I used to. I wanted to point out the first thing though, when you select your bales, whether they're new or old, you want to line them up. You can put them in any formation you want, but most importantly, find yourself a good flat level spot to put them on. It doesn't, whether it's in the yard, on a slab of concrete, you want to make sure they're sitting fairly level. I've had a couple tip over actually on me as the growing season goes on. I'm seeing I got a couple there I probably needed to straighten up. So once you get them, and you get them out here and get them lined up however you want. Actually, let's back up to when you're purchasing or acquiring your bales. There's actually two types, and you can see from looking right here. Growing up on the farm, I learned this a long time ago. This is what's known as long cut. You can see the long straws there, and this is the short cut. A little tighter wind. Now there's advantages, a couple of advantages to using the long cut straw. They're not wound quite as tight, and when you're conditioning them with your fertilizer, it's a little easier to wash that. You wash your fertilizer down into the long cut type bales. You can still see some pieces there. I'm up to day 10 actually, so I'm almost to the end of conditioning. They both work, but it's just a little bit harder. Takes a little bit more water to work, it seems like, to wash the fertilizer down into these short straw cut bales. Are just a little tighter wound. So now we're ready to start conditioning our bales. And so again, depending, this is just what I've learned myself, but depending on whether you got bright new golden yellow bales or ones that are a year older or more that are starting to break down. I found in the last couple of years using newer bales, I use a little heavier nitrogen fertilizer. If you know your NPK number, this is 30 parts nitrogen. And so this is what I've been using for the first 9 days. And so your first day, you just want to use, you want to take a half cup of fertilizer. I should have went, this one here, this is a 10-10-10, and this is what I used on old bales, and it's perfectly fine. I'm just using a heavier nitrogen fertilizer because it breaks them down a little quicker. So the first day, 1/2 cup of your selected fertilizer, and then you wash it down with water. And you want to wash it in the bales. I'm going to show you. There's nothing, no special skill needed here. Now, as I said, I'm up to day 10. And so day 10 requires a whole cup for each bale. And I switched the book The book says on day 10, use a 10-part nitrogen-based fertilizer, and you simply just sprinkle it. And this is how you do it every day. You just cover the whole bale, side to side, up and down. There's no great science to it. Just make sure you get some on all of it. And a cup is actually quite a bit. And that's what you do for day 1. A half a cup for day 1, followed by washing it down with water. Day 2 is simply just water. Day 3, it's back to a half a cup of fertilizer and wash it with water. And you just alternate fertilizer one day and just all water the next, until you get up to day 10. And like I said, you use the 10-part nitrogen fertilizer and put a whole cup on each bale. After about day 6, depending on what growing climate you live in, you should start to maybe smell a little pungent odor coming from your bales as they begin to break down. And mine are smelling a little bit. As you go along, you'll have little mushrooms may pop out on them. They don't hurt anything. You can just leave them go. You can remove them. They'll fall off in about 24 hours anyway. If you use new bales like I am, as you can see here, there's already little wheat sprouts starting to take root and grow. They don't hurt anything. You can just pluck those out. No big deal. They don't hurt. And so it's pretty simple. Straw bale gardening, it's more strenuous starting out and getting set up. Once you get them all conditioned and you plant, all you got to do pretty much is just keep an eye on water. Which brings me to another point, the water. Straw bale gardening may not be for everybody because it takes a ton of water. I know I did a little video last year on how to install some drip irrigation or soaker hoses. I know I've got some folks that are actually farmers that have asked me about doing this. Well, farmers this time of year, they don't have a lot of time to be standing around like us state workers do. Come home on break or at noon and water your straw bales. And so, soaker hose, if you're going to use those, you want to put those in before you actually plant, and we'll get into that. We'll cover that in another video. So after you have your daily dose of your fertilizer put on each bale, you want to water them in then, and kind of watch on the sides, because as your time progresses into day 3, 4, 5, and 6, it should take less and less water, and you'll start to see water will start dripping out the sides down at the base, or as you can see these bales over here, how they're wet at the bottom. Be very careful to not overwater, because you don't want to wash all this fertilizer all the way through the bale. It's not going to do any good. So kind of keep an eye, like I said, just keep an eye on the side, and if you see the water starting to come out the bottom there on the side, that's a sign you need to shut the tap off there. If you're a reader like me, like to have a book in hand, I still get this out every year. I bought this, Dr. Joel Carson's book, about 9 years ago. I still have it, still refer to it. I think he actually has more updated versions, but this is still gives you all the basics in here. How to set up. There's several things that he does, or he shows how to do, that I don't necessarily do. As you can see, like the There's a whole trellis system he describes in the book that I don't use. I prefer just to use my old wire hog panels from the days of showing pigs at the Illinois State Fair. And so anyway, you got any questions, hit me up in the comments section. This is the first one this season, so I'm a little shaky, I guess. But we get better as we go along. I hope to hear from you. If you haven't subscribed already, please ring the notification bell and hit the subscribe button. And if you like this one, as my good friend Leon, Mr. Leon Sloan says down in Oklahoma, we'll make you another video. God bless you all. Take care and good luck gardening.